All right, welcome to the Knoxville Financial Q&A. This is episode 6. I'm your host, Paul.
I'm Brian.
And today we're going to answer 3 questions. 2 of them are just ones that we get the most commonly asked. And then the third one comes from someone who sent in a question. So let's just get right into it. The first question we have, Brian, is should I pay off my mortgage or invest instead?
Ooh, yeah, no, that is one we get asked a lot. I think the simple answer to that one is just, can your investment returns generate more than your cost of a loan? I know it's way more complex than that, but I feel like that's the simplified answer.
Yeah, it's a very simple answer, but it's correct. I mean, 5 years ago, this question was almost a no-brainer. Right, interest rates were so low that pretty much, of course, invest. It's not the same anymore. You have to pretty much go by a client-by-client or situation-by-situation basis.
Yeah, because I mean, if you have job changes or any sort of income shift, or a wife stops working, wants to stay at home, all those factors matter.
So, would you say if your mortgage rate is at 3%? You locked in 2015 at 3% or something like that.
Ride it till the wheels fall off.
Exactly. So the gray area becomes now, what happens if it's 6.5%?
Yeah, and then you start to think about how those amortized borrowing costs matter significantly. I think when you hit to that, I want to say it's like right around the 5.5-6% range is almost double what your house costs on a 30-year note.
Yep.
So if you buy a $500,000 house, you're paying $500,000 in interest. And yeah, that's crazy to think about.
Most of your beginning mortgage payments are pretty much 100%, not 100%, but mostly geared towards interest only.
Yeah, 90+%.
Yeah, at least. And so let's say you might have 5 years left on your mortgage. You're pretty much only paying principal at that point. So that's something to consider as well, because it's not really costing you as much anymore. Right. So you've already paid, a big bulk of the interest at that point.
Yeah, and look at factors that, our real estate in Knoxville and Farragut and all the other areas around here that, we've had such an influx of people from out of state that our real estate prices have gone way, way up. So you factor in that cost of real estate along with the cost of a loan. It's brutal.
It's a tough decision for some people. Like my clients are older than Brian's. I say this all the time, and they're approaching retirement. And some people just want peace of mind.
Yep. They
don't want to have to deal with having a mortgage. They're potentially going to be, if you don't have a pension, you're potentially going to be in a lower income situation, and you don't want to have to deal with a mortgage payment. Unfortunately, and we've said this before, but you never really own your home because you always have to pay property tax on it. So it would be cool if maybe I don't even know if this is being discussed in Tennessee for real. I've heard it was, where they were planning on potentially eliminating property taxes.
I think Florida.
I think Florida's gung-ho on it, but here, let's say you paid your house off. Start there. If you pay your house off, you own it. No more property taxes. That would be a good start, in my opinion. And then after that, spread it out, see how it works. But there's a reason a lot of people are moving to Florida. There's also a reason a lot of people are moving here. But it would just be nice to actually own your home. And either way, basically, if you're eliminating a mortgage payment, you're going into a lower income situation, the peace of mind. I don't know if you can really put a value on that. There's no planning software that factors in.
Yeah, I don't have a stressful overhead payment this month or any month after that.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the next one we got?
So the next one is, should I buy a rental property or invest in stocks, especially in Knoxville?
Yeah, I get asked this one quite a bit. I have friends that are successful in real estate in this area, and I have friends of those that see that success. and they always ask that question of, well, maybe I should be doing this.
Knoxville in particular is a little bit unique because we don't have, I'll single out Detroit, for example, where, all the car manufacturers moved to Mexico or wherever, Canada, and Detroit basically just collapsed. Knoxville doesn't have that situation. So between University of Tennessee and all the major facilities in Oak Ridge, the economy is always going to be pretty stable here. If you want to talk about actual data, you can do a simple Google search on this. But the returns on rental property here in Knoxville is between 6 to 12% leveraged. And the stock market has historically returned between 8 to 10%. And the question really is whether those differences in numbers, if you actually want to be a landlord, right, and have to deal with whatever goes wrong in the house that you own but you don't live in. And you're responsible for taking care of all that stuff.
Everybody wants to be a landlord until you have to do landlord things.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, guys, like I had several clients that came in with rental properties and they couldn't wait to unload them. But these are older clients, approaching retirement, and I can understand why. I think a good scenario for possibly owning rental properties would be if you're empty nesters, one of you works, the other one stays home, maybe is bored, and is willing to take on the responsibility of just basically managing those rental properties.
That's a lot of what my conversations steer to. When I start getting asked that, almost all of my conversations are just steered towards, I don't know that the returns matter. I really don't. I sit there and I think about, I've got a good acquaintance of mine that has apartment complexes and duplexes, and I mean, we're talking about $40,000+ a month in rental income. It's great money. Everybody would love to have that amount of money. But he has a stack of 3 cell phones. And if you can get him to a lunch appointment, which is borderline impossible, there's a stack of 3 cell phones sitting on the table. One of them is guaranteed to ring during that time frame. And I think the hard part that most people don't understand, kind of what you hinted on, is everybody wants to be a landlord. Everybody wants to collect that check until the garbage disposal breaks at, on a Saturday at 10 a.m., until the dishwasher craps out, until some other, you name it, insert crappy thing happening here. And everybody wants that until that happens. And I think the biggest thing comes down to it, the most of the people that are successful in it, and I would say this about anything, they do it because they love it. Most of those guys, I don't think they're measuring ROI. I don't think they're really caring. I think it's kind of like, look, man, I did this, or maybe it was inherited. Maybe they inherited some properties and it was able to allow them to accumulate properties faster. But I think, that's what matters to most of them. And then the leverage part, to be fair, too, is, at UT, we always talked about leverage. If I have a widget that I can sell for $1 and I only have $10,000, I buy 10,000 widgets, I sell them, I make money. The problem is, in order to maximize that, you leverage it. So I go borrow $1 million and I buy 1 million of those things. Well, the problem with that is loan carrying costs, you have a payment, you've added overhead, you add all these things. It's not as sexy anymore. And so, my thing is always, I think if you love it, I think if you're destined for real estate, invest in real estate. Most people, that is probably not the scenario.
I agree. And I think that, Knoxville housing pricing has increased substantially over the past few years, right? And you add that on top of increasing mortgage rates or interest rates, and it's not really a good scenario.
No.
Right? What if you have, really bad tenants?
Or what if 2008 happens again?
Or what if exactly.
We just bought this house for $500,000 and now it's worth $220,000.
Right. I think if it was, 2020, 2021 or whatever, and housing prices were where they used to be, I think maybe rental properties made a lot more sense back then. But where they're at now, And by the way, I don't think we're overpriced. I think we just caught up essentially to where it should have been.
I kind of agree with that.
Right? If you're looking at it right now, I personally would not want to be. I don't want to be a landlord, and I don't want to call at 1 a.m. in the morning that the hot water heater went out.
Yep.
Right? I don't care how much is cash flowing, which, by the way, it's probably not cash flowing a whole lot.
Not if you're buying it right now.
If you're buying right now with the current interest rates that are happening.
Yep.
Now, there is one scenario that might make sense where, and I've had this happen with clients, where they move out of their existing house that they've lived in for a while and bought a new house without selling their old house. In that case, you basically have the client knows the house, right? They know when the water heater was replaced. They know when the roof was replaced. They know pretty much all the ins and outs of the house, and they can kind of project what potential expenses there might be.
Right. Assuming good tenants.
Assuming good tenants, right? And so that would be kind of the only. If I moved out of my house, I would probably just sell it, to be honest with you. But if I wanted to rent it, that would be the only situation I would do it in.
It's probably fair.
Yeah. Okay, Brian, is there anything else you can think of?
Yeah, I'd say noteworthy to that, which obviously impacts your ROI, would be like being able to write off expenses. So if something goes wrong or does go wrong, you can write off, hey, your hot water heater went out. I paid to fix it. I get to write that off. You also get to write off the loan cost if you're carrying a mortgage on it. So I'd say, I guess, that it's hard to measure some benefits there, but is it worth being a landlord?
If you're not close to retirement and you just plan on, diversifying your portfolio overall, rental properties are not the worst situation. I just personally, probably same for you, would not do it at this moment in Knoxville.
I think I was looking at it's actually noteworthy too. It brings up a point. I was reading a thing that was talking about like the old 60-40 portfolio doesn't work anymore. And one of the little caveats in that article was what they called a 60-20-20, which was a 60% equities, 20% in bonds or fixed income, and then 20% in real estate. I thought that was actually a kind of a cool concept because it does bring in like a better diversified thought process. It still comes back to, I don't know that I would want to be a landlord. I mean, I think that's the true thing is you got to want it.
Yep, I agree with that. If this is something that I focused on and really wanted to consider rental properties, it would probably be really close to UT, just because of the amount of student housing that's needed. Even though they're building like crazy, there's still not enough. So those properties, I think, will always have some value for renting out to students. But then you have the worst case scenario of
all the problems that come with it.
Renting out to students, right? And so, I personally would just rather invest and not have to deal with any of that.
I think our next question is from Michael, and his question was something like this, which was, I live in Farragut, I make really good money, everything seems to be getting more expensive, what's the deal? We're going to paraphrase that for you, Michael, just a little bit and say what you're probably experiencing is what we call lifestyle inflation.
It's kind of strange because lifestyle inflation could equate to so many different things, right? You always want a bigger house. You always want, I always want a bigger boat or a nicer boat or whatever it is. And the reality is sometimes when it comes to boats in particular, it just doesn't make financial sense, period. And it's just something that if you have, all your other priorities in place, you have your emergency fund, your retirement savings set up, maybe your house is being close to paid off, if not paid off, or you have a low interest rate, maybe then consider that. But it's sort of like if you want to keep up with the Joneses, you're probably going to end up hurting yourself, right?
You'll end up broke with the Joneses.
Exactly. And if you just save and invest properly without worrying about the Joneses will want to be keeping up with you at some point.
Yeah, I've always given this kind of a crude illustration of said, here's your income, here's your expenses. The two best ways is increase your income or decrease your expenses to have a better quality of life. Those are the two best ways. Maybe one is good, but both is better. And I think, I say that, but I call that gap the quality of life gap. And so, you think about, if you make really, really good money and you have really, really low expenses, you end up being able to go on more vacations. You end up being able to do things that most people don't do. And I think that, to me, is kind of where I would say, like, most people, when they get a pay raise, what do? Buy a new car. I've wanted that new car. Or, buy a new house. Or instead of just saying, oh, well, we got the pay raise, let me just sock that away and shove that away in retirement. Or let me just shove that in an emergency fund, and then I'll buy another car 2 years from now. My car's good. It's not destroyed, but I'll need a new car or a new roof. Lifestyle increep is real, Michael. I'd say lifestyle inflation, whatever you want to call it, it's very real. I think that's probably more of what you're experiencing. I mean, you look at like the mortgage costs and look at like what I look at just my own house. My house, when I was house shopping in 2017, $150,000 to $200,000 was a pretty good house. That same property is $550 plus, and it's like, wait, 2017 was not that long ago. We're talking about not even 10 years ago. And here we are, double, triple.
Yes.
So, Michael, if you bought a house in the last little bit and you're experiencing the lifestyle creep, it's not just from you wanting to buy nicer things. Everything's getting more expensive.
Here's one of the things I'm most guilty of that I don't think a lot of people consider or realize what it actually costs. Subscription creep.
Yeah, that should be a new coined phrase for sure.
Because I am totally guilty of that. I mean, Lord knows what I pay Apple per month now. Netflix, all those subscription services, the streaming things. Just because somebody says, hey, have you seen that show or whatever? And it's like, no, I don't have that. Well, then all of a sudden I have that.
Yep.
Just so I can have a conversation with
them. $7. Right? It's only $7 a month.
Right.
Times 10.
Add all those up, and you're paying a substantial amount in subscription fees. I know I am personally, and that's something that I could, for myself, I need to focus on and figure out what I can eliminate. Because some of those things I probably don't even watch.
Sure, and I think that's all relative. That goes back to that quality of life. I think if you have your expenses pretty low and that's what you value or enjoy in life, maybe don't skimp on it. But yeah, it's one of those where if you're not using it, oh my gosh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm guilty of. So I mentioned the boat. I have a modest boat by any means, but the problem is the slip rental at Concord Marina is not modest. It's a substantial expense.
Like a mortgage payment.
It could be for some people, for sure. It's crazy. And then on top of that, like, we live in a neighborhood that has a pool. And
got to pay those HOAs.
Well, it's not even that. The HOAs, fortunately for us, aren't that bad. But there was several golf carts that started appearing in our neighborhood, and for some reason I just wanted to have the nicest one. That was it. So we did.
Your midlife crisis was modest.
Pretty much. I mean, it's not a Corvette or anything like that. It's just a really nice golf cart. It's not even a golf cart. It doesn't even hold. You couldn't even put golf clubs on it. But I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about.
It's a family hauler.
Exactly. And I love it when we use it, and it's pretty cool. And I'm saying, like, we got the nicest one. Overall, it's still a minor expense compared to, other things that are out there.
I saw a side-by-side the other day. I think I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was Polaris, but I think they have one that's, like, fully enclosed with air condition and heat. And it's like, this is one step away from a car.
Yes.
And then it costs more than a car in most cases. And that's crazy to me. It's like, it's a golf cart. This isn't a golf cart anymore. It has air condition and heat and CarPlay.
My golf cart has CarPlay. Yeah. So, and this I think can relate specifically to Knoxville, East Tennessee in general, just because of our topography, where Brian just mentioned side by sides or whatever. Like, there's so many cool places here to have something like that, right? And then the lakes, and this is why people have these boats, and this is why marinas are so expensive, because there's a slip is so in demand. It could happen easily here for sure.
We do. We are very blessed from the standpoint, and turn this off if you're wanting to live here. But yeah, we're very blessed in the idea that recreationally speaking, between mountain biking and road biking and all the golfing, we have tons of golf destinations. We have lots of things. And I mean, this ties back to retirement. What we've talked about before is, how do you want to live your retirement? And you think about how expensive doing that stuff is on the weekends. You better build some income.
Yep.
Because it ain't cheap.
It's not cheap. But if you want to do those things and it improves your quality of life, all well and good, just make sure you have all your bases covered before jumping onto that.
Plan for it.
Yes. So I guess with that said, we're wrapping this one up, and keep sending in your questions. We'll answer them. The best way to see our videos is just type in wealthyknox.com. You can also schedule on our website, iws.one.
Or you can send us each individual emails.
Yep. And there's also, if you go to Wealthy Knox, it goes wealthyknox.com. It goes directly to the page where all the videos are hosted. And there's, as soon as you scroll down, that's where you can ask a question as well. So with that said,
signing off.
Signing off.